Hi friends, David here from Learn Christmas Lighting, and today we want to look at moving heads and talk about the Dominar X, but this is applicable to a lot of the moving heads. Some of the top things that we see people having struggles with moving heads that they might not be aware of. Let's dive in. Moving heads are obviously something that are gaining tons of momentum in the hobby. There's lots of models, lots of vendors who show up with these models and honestly don't have a lot of support for them. And so people go to the community looking for it, which honestly is really sad. And that's why when you buy Dominar moving heads, you get our support, which is a whole lot better. All that to say, here are some of the top things that we see constantly people having issues with moving heads. Starting with the basics, some of the top things are remembering that you need to set the DMX address and the mode on the fixture. Okay, so moving heads are not like pixels. They work differently. They work via DMX. You'll need to get them plugged into a DMX output on your controller. There are multiple ways to do this. And once you do have it hooked up to DMX, then you need to make sure that you go into X-Lights, find the DMX address here or in the visualizer for that light, and then you enter that on the menu of the fixture. Some fixtures will have multiple modes, which in the stage lighting world is a lot more useful. In the Christmas world, most people just stick to a single mode. Regardless, you got to make sure that's the right mode that matches the model that you have, because otherwise it's not going to work right. Number two thing that we see with moving heads, if it's not responding at all and you have it hooked up to your controller, chances are you have a bad DMX adapter. There's two primary ways that you get DMX out of controllers. Number one is Falcons, Geniuses, some of the Culps have a Ethernet port labeled DMX that's for DMX. DMX over Ethernet follows a standard pinout. That being said, if you just go to Amazon and buy a random adapter, a lot of those are just literally, they do not follow the standard at all. And this is like one of the number one things we see from people. They're like, man, it's just not responding at all. And we say, where'd you get your adapter? What is it? Like 99% of the time, that's the problem. You know, there are vendors out there selling certified X-Lights, whatever. Honestly, that's a whole bunch of BS, bad stuff. There's a standard. The stage lighting industry follows it. There's no such thing as X-Lights certified. Regardless, those ones are wired correctly. We also sell these awesome little tiny ones that are a nice little barrel, so they'll never break unless you literally break the pins. They're available on our site. We'll be sure to link to them below. You got to have a good DMX adapter. The Pixel 2 DMX is also a great option there. The rest of it, it's like once you've got it hooked up to your controller and you know you've got data and the light is responding, at least in some way, you know, maybe you put it even just in controller test mode and you see the light do crazy stuff and then you stop test mode and it stops and it goes back to the 0 position. Then you know, okay, I've got DMX flow into the light. You know, hopefully you've got it in a good channel mode. You've got a good model, which should always be provided by your vendor. If you're buying a light from a vendor and they just give you a list of channels, you should fire that vendor. Go to a vendor that provides a model. It's not that hard to make, and it separates the men from the boys. Granted, some vendors copy models from other vendors. We've seen our models copied and modified by other vendors multiple times. And, you know, we take that as a pat on the back. But, you know, have a vendor that creates the model that's correct, that's been tested, that they know is right. Not just one they spun up quickly because they're trying to shove something out the door. Again, that's where us, Above AVL, and our Dominar fixtures are different. We take really good care of people. We have really good models. Our job is to make your life as easy as possible getting them into X-Lights. Once you get your model in here, there's a couple things you want to be aware of. Number one is that when you first bring the model in, for whatever reason, the dimmer and shutter channel tend not to save with the custom models. I haven't been able to figure out why, but you'll need to set those manually. You just pull up the manual of your light, set them accordingly. Okay. And of course, if you buy Dominar fixture, we have a whole quick start video that literally walks you through everything you need to do. Okay. If you don't define those, the light will never open up. It will never light up. On the sequencing side, if we just create a new animation really quick, there's a couple things in the model that you definitely want to be aware of. So in the moving head effect, say I go to all moving heads and I put it on. I know my moving heads are on the other screen, but literally nothing happens right now. Okay. You always need to select the fixtures. Then you're able to move them. Okay. Let me just pull this. Let's sit on top nicely. Yeah. Then I'm able to move them. I go to the dimmer tab. I'm able to turn them on or use one of the presets. Okay. And then last but not least, this is really important. The layer settings for that effect need to be set to per model default generally. Okay. If it is set to default, the effect does nothing when put on a group. Okay, so per model default, and that's generally the way to go to make it work really good. With that being said, you should then start to find success with your model. If everything works with just a test sequence and the new moving head effect, if you're still having issues, then chances are it has something to do with the way you're importing sequences, the way that your sequencer did the effects. I got to tell you, here in 2024, that can be a bit of a headache because you've got folks and sequences that are on the old system with the DMX effect, okay, in the old models, and you have people that are on the new moving head effect. And the new moving head effect is a lot better, a lot more generous, a lot easier to customize to your show, and we've done videos on that. But the old model is, not near as forgiving, but there's also ways to translate that over. And actually, PPD is a great video that we'll be sure to link to below as well. With that, guys, those are the top things we see with moving heads. Hopefully, if you're setting up some this season, you're having some success. And if you're thinking about moving heads, either for this season or next season, check out our Dominar moving heads. They've got a killer reputation. If you ask out there, folks love these things because they're reliable. Being LED means there's parts like the ballast and the lamp that you'll never have to replace. And you'll be good to go for a very long time, which brings an excellent point. If you have a fixture with a lamp, always lamp it on before your show. Okay, many do it when they start up automatically. And very importantly, lamp it off and give it about 5 minutes to cool down before you shut off power to it. That's going to help you get much more life out of it. It's going to help your light to last a lot longer. But again, LEDs have a ton of really great advantages over the bulb based. They don't look quite as bright, but the fact that you don't have to worry about them, you just turn them on, turn them off. Don't worry about striking, dousing, ballast, lamp life. None of that stuff. So be sure, check out the Dominar beam moving heads. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a great day. Hopefully you learned something today. See ya.